Why are eyewitness testimonies so unreliable? There is extensive controversy over the use of eyewitness testimonies being used as evidence in court, with many judges preferring not to see it being used. The reason for this? Because it has been found to be so unreliable. There have even been cases which have resulted in the sentencing of the wrong person due to the use of false eyewitness testimonies. For instance, such as the case of Luke Doherty in 1972. Mr. Doherty was convicted of shoplifting after two witnesses picked his face out of a police album. He was accused of stealing 3 curtains from British home stores and convicted for theft, regardless of the fact that he was seen by many on a holiday coach trip at the time of the crime. The police were found to have not checked his alibi effectively, nor was there an identity parade, just a false identification by 2 BHS employees. Another case of false sentencing is that of Laszlo Virag. In 1969, he was apprehended and convicted of an armed offence in Liverpool, and despite his alibi and other contradictions, he was identified by 8 witnesses as the man who committed the crime. George Payne was later found to be the true suspect, and Virag was consequently pardoned. As you can see, there is little resemblance between the two men, and yet Virag was falsely sentenced to imprisonment. Ronald Cotton, in 1984, was accused of the breaking into the house and raping of Jennifer Thompson. She picked him out of a police lineup, testified twice against him, and as a result, Cotton was sentenced to life imprisonment. However, after serving 10.5 years in prison, he was exonerated on the basis of DNA evidence, and Bobby Poole was rightfully convicted instead. These examples clearly suggest that using eyewitness testimonies as evidence is an issue which can result in the sentencing of innocent people. The stories conveyed show that the investigators don't always analyse the suspect's alibis and can completely ignore other witnesses if they support the innocence of that said person. In the Virag and Cotton cases, the real culprits only pass a resemblance to the true criminal, not a like-for-like identity, which could better explain the misidentifications made by eyewitnesses. Why then are eyewitness testimonies so unreliable? Is it due to distracted focus of attention, leading questions, misinformation and anxiety levels?
This is an awareness test. How many passes does the team in white make? The answer is 13. But did you see the moonwalking bear?
Elizabeth Loftus is one of the leading experts in the field and was one of the first researchers to provide evidence into why eyewitness testimonies are not reliable for evidence in court. One of the principal studies is that of 1974 by Loftus and John Palmer into the influence of misinformation upon a witness. 45 American students viewed a film of a traffic accident and were subsequently asked to give the speed of the cars. They were split into groups and each individually asked the question, how fast were the cars going when they hit each other? The verb condition hit was one of the words used. The others included contacted, smashed, collided and bumped. It was found that the different verb conditions resulted in different speed estimates given by the participants. As you can see, those with the verb smashed in the question gave a much higher estimate than those with the word hit or contacted. As a follow-up to the study, Loftus and Palmer asked the participants a week later if they saw any glass in the video after the scene. and found that those that were asked the original question with the word smashed him were more likely to say yes to seeing glass even though there was none present. As a result, this study shows that eyewitnesses can give a new memory based on the original and external information given. In the case of the Loftus and Palmer study, the participants had the original memory of the film and then received external information which they unknowingly combined together to create a new memory, or the memory that they believed to be true. Therefore, eyewitnesses are shown to be suggestible to leading questions and misinformation, and as a consequence can create false memories through the distortion of external information and true memories. Another factor affecting eyewitness recall of events is the weapons effect. Loftus et al. In 1987 conducted a study involving two different videos being shown to participants of either a cheque being handed over the counter at a fast food establishment or a gun being put on the counter instead. Their eye movements were also recorded while they watched the film. Upon analysis of the results, it was found that the participants that watched the film with the check-in were much more likely to correctly identify the subject in the film than those that watched the man with the gun. Also, the latter group fixated much more and for longer upon the weapon than those that saw the cheque being exchanged. Therefore, witnesses are more likely to focus upon and accurately recall the weapon used in a crime as opposed to correctly identifying the person with the weapon. This may be due to heightened stress and anxiety levels when witnessing a crime, and both are another factor for the unreliability of eyewitness testimonies. One of the studies into the effects of anxiety and stress upon a witness is that of Clifford and Scott. Here, participants watched either a film of a physical assault or a film of a non-stressful situation, and found that recall of details was significantly worse among subjects who saw the violent film. Salmons, upon discussion of this study, found that the previous statement was true, regardless of whether a weapon was used or not. Clearly then, anxiety and stress levels can affect eyewitness recall due to the detrimental effects on memory in general that they can have. By extension, if a spectator is witness to a stressful situation, then they are less likely to be able to identify the culprit and recall accurately the events than if they were witness to a non-stressful situation. It is clear then that eyewitness testimonies can be unreliable, and that they can be for a number of reasons. Firstly, witnesses can be influenced by leading questions and subsequently misinformation. Next, the effect of weapon focus can be a big influence upon false identification. Stress and anxiety levels generally heighten during witnessing a crime also, and so can affect the recall of an event. There have been many cases in the past where the innocent have been sentenced for crimes that they did not commit due to false eyewitness testimonies. In 2001, the Centre of Wrongful Convictions at Northwestern Law School analysed the cases of 86 death row exonerees and found that over half of these were due to eyewitness error. But, to end on a lighter note, let's see how reliable you are as an eyewitness by watching the following video.
Clearly, somebody in this room murdered Lord Smythe, who, at precisely 3:34 this afternoon, was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts at precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place.
I was polishing the brass in the master's bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's scones below stairs, sir.
I was planting my petunias in the potting shed.
Constable, arrest Lady Smythe.
But how did you know?
Madam, as any horticulturist will tell you, one does not plant petunias until May is out. Take her away. It's just a matter of observation. The real question, how observant were you? Clearly, somebody in this room murdered Lord Smythe, who, at precisely precisely 3:34 this afternoon, was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts and precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place.
I was polishing the brass in the master's bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's scones below stairs, sir.
I was planting my petunia in the rocking chair. Constable, arrest Lady Smythe.
Thank you for watching.